Hi, Libra, and welcome to your November reading. Thank you for your patience. It was not my intention to leave you out of the collective reading. However, I just ran out of time. But here we are now in the full moon of Aries, and that's with the sun in your sign, Libra, shining brightly on this full moon, this full beaver moon, which is known for creativity, building, preparing for the winter months ahead. Astrologically speaking, we do have, after this full moon today, there's going to be Uranus retrograde the 7th, Mercury retrograde the 9th, Jupiter retrograde the 11th, Saturn direct the 28th, and the sun moves into Scorpio on the 16th of November, as well as followed by a new moon in Scorpio conjunct Mercury retrograde on November 20th. So let's start your reading. Under the deck is the moon. So we're filming on the full moon. One more card I'm taking from the top. I don't know what it is. All right. So the moon, this illumination, secrets coming to light. We have the Four of Cups, luxury in this deck. The Five of Wands, strife. The Magician in the middle. Also with indolence, the Eight of Cups. And the Two of Wands, and the Princess of Cups. Okay, so we are under this grand water trine for about 4 to 6 weeks or something. It started back in October, but we have Jupiter that's hovering at 0 degrees Cancer. We'll have the sun in Scorpio and this new moon in November 20th. And then we also have Saturn and Neptune still conjunct in Pisces, making this grand water trine full of emotions, as indicated by the moon there. Getting a little closer. Oh, and the Eight of Cups is ruled by Saturn in Pisces. So, as well as we see Mars showing up here in Aries during this full moon, the Two of Wands. There's a lot of heaviness in this reading. Saturn and Mars, a lot of masculine, either destruction, restriction, or building. Saturn also is karma. I don't see the Tower here, but it feels like the strife card with the Five of Wands, Saturn and Leo. Something's been a struggle, unsatisfying. You're considering walking away from something. Maybe something was draining your energy. This Princess of Cups, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. Or it could just be this grand water trine we're under that's making you feel down or very much in your emotions. Emotions are spilling over into daily life. But I see you still in the middle as the Magician in control of the situation, but you're given a choice with the Two of Wands. I think the main decision is, do I walk away from something that is no longer fulfilling my spiritual, emotional, or physical need? Princess of Cups also talking about starting something new, a new emotional experience, moving in a different direction. Okay, we have the scythe now showing up. Saturn still, that's his scythe. Death, culling, cutting away. We're going into Scorpio season on the 16th. And then we have the 17th showing up. The cranes building a nest. But look, they're like harvesting this wheat in order to, and now they're picking up those pieces and fabricating it into a nest. And then your luck grows from there. So maybe the soil that you were planted in, or the current circumstance, you've outgrown that, or the soil was not good, it wasn't fertile. But the harvest is the lessons that you're getting, the strength that you're gaining from it. It's not, you're not walking away empty-handed. Obviously, they have something to build on that is going to lead to a much more prosperous future. And then I have the house here, number 4. The House of Cancer, home and family. We started with the moon in Cancer with the Four of Cups. This could be building a new home, getting lucky, finding the perfect home. I would say some of you, with all the water showing up in this reading, could be experiencing flooding in your home. If so, I'm sorry. Or there's been problems with water leakage, mold, something that needs to be basically abandoned. And maybe that brings with it some kind of disappointment, or it's hard to let go, even though you don't like it anymore. There's so much emotion tied to this place or these people. But there's a much better, more solid ground. It's like building your castle in a swamp, you know, it sinks down, and it's going to keep doing that again until you find solid ground to build on or build with. And under this deck, we do have the Messenger, number 1, and just like the Magician card, number 1, new beginnings, starting over. But it could be an invitation, a deed, a notice. We do have Mercury retrograde coming the 9th through the 29th. We could have messages coming back from people in the past telling you need to come home, or there's something that needs attention. Okay, so I'm going to get an alchemy card for us. What does Libra need to know about this magic that they are meant to perform this month? It's like your magic was drained somewhere else. It was not... You weren't able to maybe manifest in the current position, but that's why you're walking away. Okay, coagulation. Yeah, feeling stuck. Feeling like I can't grow beyond these borders. I'm boxed in. And underneath the deck, we have more red and orange colors. So speaking of the roots, the autumn, we just went into the fall equinox, September 20th in the Northern Hemisphere. Number 19 is typically the sun card, though. But, I mean, everything has a season. It's time to fall away, to shed, to release this block. And that 8 of Cups, it feels like an emotional purge. But you're coming out at the end of it as the Princess of Cups, refreshed, renewed, feeling lighter. Not only, leaving something behind in the physical, it's gonna resonate on a spiritual level, an emotional level. And we have the moon showing up again, number 2, the High Priestess card. Ruled by Pisces or Cancer. Something about the tides turning, something being pulled away with the force, gravitational force of the moon. Your emotions being pulled out. But the Luna Moon card says mystery, receptivity, and intuition. The moon represents the mother of all mysteries. Once a month, it slips into full spotlight and then quietly disappears, only to initiate the cycle again, gifting us with the message of impermanence. The moon reminds us we are in constant transition, a continual process of letting go. It is the yin principle, one of listening rather than speaking. This card may indicate a time of rest and restoration is in order, or that a new depth of spiritual practice calls. Dreams and memories may be especially vivid. The gates to the liminal realm have opened. The alchemist's task is to be receptive to its message. Be patient, though, as the moon speaks in the language of symbols, and deciphering its messages takes time and receptivity. Magic is afoot. Sink into it, sweet child. Practice yoga. Notice what stage the moon is in when you do your readings. The moon has a cooling and soothing effect on the psyche. In a reading, think of the lunar card bringing a sense of ease and stillness to the surrounding cards. Well, that's comforting. We're not putting out fires here. It's already felt very dreamy and aquatic, this entire reading. It's felt more fluid than fire. We have a couple Wands cards, of course, the 2 and the 5. But the rest has been, it's like dominated by flow, by release, by, this, we're trying to break up this clog, this coagulated emotional block, it feels. So some purging, cleansing, crying, maybe in order following this full moon. Well, I certainly didn't mean for you to wait this long for such a serious reading, but apparently it's important. But the important thing to remember is that you're in control as the magician. We have the sun. All right, number 19, we said, was the sun card. So, and another one. So 111 could be appearing a lot. There is the sun and the moon. I feel really that Scorpio new moon is going to be the fresh start for you with the Princess of Cups, or the rebuilding phase. And we have patience, the Temperance card, number 16. And the first thing I mentioned when we were looking at the original 5 tarot cards, I don't see the Tower. Well, number 16 is the Tower. But in this deck, it looks more like Temperance, number 14. So it's patience through the process. I think self-care is just meant to be emphasized this time. And this card keeps coming up, all tied up. I don't think you are anymore. This is the month that you liberate yourself with the 8 of Cups moving away. All tied up can't be all bad either, because we're building a nest and you want the fibers to be tightly woven. We want things to be coagulated here in a good sense. When they are rebuilt, they need to be firm. patience. The sun will come out. The sun is coming out. There's a clock there even. I know it says 10:10, but I still feel that 11:11 is going to be an important time for you. Another oracle card for Libra. Observer. Yeah, sit back and observe. Be in your feminine. We have the moon showing up twice, and now there's a picture of the moon. It's not a time to act. It's more of a time to receive as we start this new cycle. Observe or look before you leap, basically. And finally, we have number 12, a change in the wind. So the winds of change, we mentioned a change of season, change in direction. There's a weather vane up here, you know, that often spins with the wind, tells you which direction it's coming from. And with the Two of Wands showing up, having to make a choice, choosing a new direction. Mars will be conjunct Mercury retrograde on November 12th. So watch out for that. Could be, again, Mars and Mercury have been dancing together for a couple of weeks now. Tempers are kind of flaring. They're at an all-time high, and it's clashing. There could be a misunderstanding around that date, but that could be the very thing, the catalyst that pushes you off into this new direction towards the sun. We're going from the moon underneath and finishing in the light. All right, so you're going somewhere this month, Libra. Number 20, the pilgrim, the journey. So it speaks of readiness for a physical or spiritual journey. Some of you may have to thinking about going on a healing retreat, a spiritual retreat. There's some skill here that needs to be relearned, whether maybe that skill is self-care, not knowing how to take care of yourself in this current situation. You may feel very tense or all bound up, or and under that we have storm warning. Okay, so something's coming to a head. That could be the wind blowing in. I'm not trying to fearmonger anybody, but I mentioned flooding possibility. So hurricanes, if you live near a coast, watch out for that. Maybe it's time to pay attention with the observer card. You know, watch the weather. Pay attention to the changing seasons, the changing weather. But in the end, you know, we still have the sun coming out. There will be a calm after the storm. All right, your Queen of the Moon card. We have Beauty, number 20. So 20 for the journey has come out, and now 20 for Beauty. So that's typically the Judgment card. I've mentioned a decision as well coming. But seeing beauty in every situation, and the beauty of change, as painful as it is. We all seen caterpillars transform to butterflies. They undergo a painful process in order to come out on the other side looking and feeling much stronger and better. All right, with the Pilgrim and the change in the winds, we're going somewhere. Let's get a journey card. What does Libra need to know about their journey for November? What guidance? Emotions. Yeah, I mentioned there'd be a flood of emotions this month. But again, the sun being very prominently displayed there. We need both sunshine and rain to make the rainbow. Keep going. You see, emotions are temporary. They're meant to be felt and released. Everybody has them. And then we have nature. Yeah, it's normal. It's natural to go through this kind of painful growth process. I mentioned the butterfly before, and now we have synchronicity underneath the bottom of the deck. You're becoming a butterfly this month because you had the courage to make a decision and walk away from a bad situation that was maybe draining your magic, preventing it from manifesting what you want. There's a healthier solution somewhere else. All right, your angel card is going to be the Protection Guardian. Drop your shields. So it's okay to feel safe. There are guardian angels surrounding you. The Wise One, grow within your current situation. We had growth showing up twice now. Grow towards the light like a plant. But yeah, before you can do that, you have to start in the dark, or the seeds are planted in darkness. And underneath, we have the Air Guardian, shift your perspective. We have 3 different kinds. We've got birds, wings, something on the air, Gemini, Aquarius, Libra, as you're an air sign. So this wisdom is going to come blowing in through the winds of change that came up here. Might be seeing a lot of feathers as a confirmation that your guides are near, that you're on the right path. They'll fall, in your at your feet, or you'll see them at your feet. Okay, finally a rose oracle for you. Plant yourself here. Mention seeds, yeah. And harvesting, right? Oh, silly. Okay, integration, embodiment, grounded action. So I'm thinking of a dandelion seed, when they sprout, those little white puffy things. I call them wishies. You catch them, you make a wish. And there's a little seed attached. Wherever that seed lands, it grows. So we mentioned entering the darkness, being planted in order for you to come out light on the other side. So we're finding more fertile soil this month. Okay, I'm going to grab a rune for you. I haven't done this for any other sign for the month of November. Okay, so you got the Ingwaz rune, which is actually really appropriate and ties in wonderfully with the rest of this reading. So I'm going to put it right here, plant yourself here, because this is actually known as the seed. So the meaning is that's the seed energy needed for gestation to result in plenty. It signifies the cycle of withdrawal, transformation, and return, something working in the unconscious, a storehouse of potential energy that must undergo a gestation period in order to gain strength. Ing was the old Germanic fertility god and the consort of Earth Mother, who gives up his power to her to be released in the spring. Okay, so some of you, maybe you are, like I said, going on a retreat or withdrawing within. You're just now being planted as a seed. So that when the spring vernal equinox comes around in March in the northern hemisphere, that's when you will blossom. Perhaps if you're in the southern hemisphere and you're just coming into spring now, you might be experiencing the initial growth. And it says that although Ingwaz is clearly associated with a god, he is a deity about which we have no myths, only a few references to folk practice. On the other hand, the information we do have makes it apparent that Ing is the deity in his aspect of grain god. The seed that is planted flourishes and is cut down so that it may grow into the earth and be reborn. The harvest may be made into bread or beer or be renewed in the bodies of humankind. Another version of the same myth is found in the songs about John Barleycorn. Frodi the Fruitful, a legendary Danish king whose name was also applied to the god, received offerings of his grave at his grave mound. In times of famine, the Yngling kings of Sweden were expected to lay down their lives in sacrifice to restore fertility to the land. Symbols associated with the cult of the fertility god and goddess include both a ship and the wagon, since the north food came from both the land and the sea. In the agricultural cycle, birth and death are part of necessary sequence. The ship carries the spirit of the god through the waters and the underworld or womb so that he may be reborn again. We've been talking about this transmutation, being planted as a seed, being reborn. The harvest that came here, right? The grain god. And then the cranes were taking those and rebuilding. The cult of the grain god is closely associated with that of the ancestors. The belief seems to have been that the dead continue to live within the mound. Even when cremating, okay. So Ingwaz is a rune of birth and death, of fertility that's part of natural cycle in two forms, can support a number of interpretations. The closed diamond shape of the old Germanic rune can be seen as the male or female seed. The interlaced Anglo-Saxon form inevitably recalls the position in which Hindu gods and goddesses are so often portrayed, completing and balancing their powers through sexual union. A Hindu symbol, much like the rune, represents the union of Shiva and Shakti, the male and female principles. Ing may be a god, but to function he must interact with a goddess. He is the child who is born from the womb of the sea. He is the lover whose embrace makes Mother Earth grow fruitful. And he is the sacrifice who goes back into the sea and the mound to renew the land. Ingwaz represents creative power, especially to its masculine form, transition to a new stage in a cycle, and ending that leads to a new beginning. Transformation, possibly sacrifice for a positive purpose, and fertility. As such, it's closely related to Fehu, and Jera is one of the runes that can be used in gardening. In addition, it's a rune of power for brewing, especially of beer. So, sacrifice, that means walking away with the Eight of Cups, for the purpose of positive change. Willis says Ingwaz indicates completion, transition, or a new beginning, a successful conclusion to a project, or relief from anxiety about it. Peterson feels it indicates peace and bounty in the external world, sensuality, serenity, and love. Very Taurian, Venusian. Aswin states that the seed form can be used, well, Venus rules your sign too, doesn't it, Libra? Aswin states that the seed form can be used as a magic circle to contain other runic energies. Obviously, Ingwa is a rune of sexuality, particularly useful for enhancing male energy, so long as the individuals concerned understand that its power requires giving as well as getting or be getting. Well, you're the scales, Libra, equal balance. Partnership, you rule the 7th house of relationships. So for the rune to function properly, partners or forces must interact in equality. In meditation, it can be a key to understanding the spiritual significance of a life cycle, to understand and dealing with the death as part of life. So maybe that's another reason you're walking away. There might have been a toxic partner, somebody who was taking more than they were giving. There was not a common goal that was aligning for you. So I hope this brings you some clarity this month, Libra. Thank you again for your patience, and we will see you next month. Take care. Bye-bye.